Good morning, everyone. So, I thought I would begin today by sharing an excerpt from my diary. To be clear, though, this diary is fake because I'm too busy to keep such detailed records of my day-to-day events. However, for the sake of an opening illustration, come along with me on this pretend diary journey. The events that occurred on this day did truly happen. So maybe this can be a little bit of a proof text for how busy I am. Wednesday, March 6th. Dear Diary, this is the week I finally scheduled time to write this teaching for NAVMO. I'm excited to have the chance to share my thoughts about preparing meals for the busy family, and I suspect that writing down my thoughts will probably make me a better manager of my own home as well. Here's what happened. 6 a.m. My alarm awakened me. First thoughts include that I'm thankful an alarm woke me up instead of a child. Second thoughts include that I would really like to go back to sleep. But third thoughts are, no, you are a grown-up, a busy mom, a busy wife. You've got a lot to do today, so get up, lady. 6:15 a.m. commence 20-minute workout. Today is kickboxing. Thoughts include gratitude. My husband works out with me every day. Over time, those consistent workouts have made me stronger, healthier, happier, but also my quads really hurt today. And but when you burn, you earn, right? So it's worth it. 6:40 a.m., spend time reading the Bible, praying, drinking my daily cup of coffee. I quickly review my emails and tasks for the day. 7 a.m., begin preparing breakfast and backpacks for the school day. Greet children cheerfully, help them with their morning activities, give them a rundown of today's schedule. This includes 2 different spirit days for Read Across America, a cancellation of an after-school run club because it's raining today, so things must be flexible. 7:30 a.m., pack into the car. Drop off boys in the car line. Take Claire to her school. She needs to be walked in. Return home with toddler. Explain you will only listen to the Moana 2 soundtrack once today. And this is a great opportunity for a teaching moment, for sharing and showing love to one another. Now, 8:30 to 10 a.m. are all these morning tasks, getting a bite to eat, doing the daily load of laundry, working on the dishes, getting ready for dinner, getting dressed and presentable for the day. 10 to 11:45 a.m., take toddler to Santa Ana Zoo, have a really great time bonding, and she's so cute. 12 p.m., pick up Claire and the boys from school because they both had half days today. And remember, Run Club was canceled. Feed them lunch, give them time to decompress and play outside while I prepare for the next part of our day. And then I get the message that rain has also canceled James's baseball practice. So take that off the rest of the schedule. 1:30 to 3:30, time for all 4 kids to go to a dental cleaning. So thank God for clean teeth. Thank God for clean bills of health. Don't have to return for any cavity fillings. 3:30 to 4:30, we get home. Kids need to start working on their homework. They need to practice their foundations verses. They need to do their chores. I spend the hour managing the tasks, helping them, and of course, managing conflicts as they arise. 4:30 to 5:30, boys are allowed to play computer games, provided through their school accounts. Educational Minecraft is a thing, apparently. Girls help me prepare snacks for our Thursday night small group. I decide to be a little bit wild and attempt some mini lemon and raspberry tartlets, which turned out amazing. Girls play with the leftover tart dough for like a full 30 minutes while I finish making dinner, so I feel really great about myself. I'm shredding the pork that was in the slow cooker all day, setting out the burrito fillings, chopping up lettuce, etc. 5:30 to 6. Sit down with family, eat dinner, chat. Husband was delayed in traffic. Again, rain is just a constant theme of the day. 6 to 7:30 is when we rest. I washed some dishes, I folded more laundry, played with the kids. We're getting towards the end here. 7:30 to 8:30, bath time for the girls, shower time for the boys. Team up with husband to get them down to bed with fresh jammies, brush teeth, dried hair, floss, final cuddles, book reading, prayers, songs, good nights. 8:30, finally time to take a shower. Rest for a little bit. Husband finishes up dishes, works on small things around the house. We sit down, work on our small group questions together. Then we prepare for our discussion Thursday night. Finally, we end the day with 20 minutes of a show. I had fallen asleep the previous night, so I think we had to finish it. And then finally get ready for bed. I always read for 20 minutes before I fall asleep, and off to dreamland I go. Now, that was probably way more detail than any of you needed to remember that we're all busy moms. I bet you thought back to your past week or looked ahead to your day, and you thought, it's not all that different in terms of busyness. Sure, different seasons of life, different tasks, different circumstances, but we are all very busy. And busy with wonderful people and wonderful things. But in the busy, we still have choices about our commitments and priorities, as well as how we manage our time to optimize it. Ephesians 5:15 through 16 tells us, "Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time, because the days are evil." Now, to give you some context for why Paul says the days are evil, the previous section of Ephesians 5 is all about how to imitate God by walking as children of light in a dark world. We can use our time and our days to love the way God loves and to live the way God called us to live. But we have to be thoughtful and wise with making the best use of time. We've really learned a lot this year about using our time to enjoy and serve our families. And today we're going to be talking about yet another way to do that well. Another way we can carefully, wisely, and lovingly use our time. And that is through prioritizing good food for our families. Food is indeed a good gift from our Father. Psalm 104, verse 14, praises God by saying, "You cause the grass to grow for the livestock and plants for man to cultivate, that he may bring forth food from the earth." And then we get to the end of verse 15, and he tells us that bread strengthens our hearts. God richly provides for us, even on this side of Eden, and constantly shows his grace and love in his daily provision of physical sustenance through food. He tells us to ask him to provide for our daily bread in the Lord's Prayer. He tells us not to be anxious about what we will eat or drink in the Sermon on the Mount, but to trust him that he will provide because he knows we need food. The necessity of food tells us that we are reliant on our Creator. We cannot exist without his loving care for us. And isn't it amazing the variety of food, the creativity there are in different types? There's uncountable ways to prepare food. Food is definitely not boring. God is creative and kind. So let's get it down for point number 1 this way. Rejoice in God's love for daily providing for us. This will motivate us to view and use food in the right way. Food is necessary for life, and like all of God's gifts, we can use and view food in the wrong way. I know I'm speaking to a room full of women, and I suspect that several of you, if not all of you, just like me, have had at times a complicated relationship with food. We turn to food to comfort us when we're stressed. We starve ourselves when we feel ashamed about our bodies. We are anxious about our kids having the very best nutrition, and we have mom guilt when we let them have a milkshake or some cotton candy. We get overwhelmed by our responsibility to care for our families with meals, so we put off planning, we put off self-control, we don't make the best use of our time. This is us, in a way, idolizing food, seeing it as the source of life and meaning instead of as a gift from our source of life and meaning. So here's a common illustration I use for my kids when they use any one of God's good gifts in a wrong way. I tell them, pretend you have a beautiful box of brand new markers and you have a blank piece of paper and you draw the most beautiful picture of your family that mom, of course, has to tape to the fridge. But while mom is taping the paper to the fridge, you still are looking around for something to create, and you see the blank wall in front of you in the playroom. You begin to draw upon that wall. Mom comes in. Is she pleased with your use of that good gift of markers? Absolutely not. Markers can make beautiful drawings, but they can also be very destructive. Apply that to how we use our gift of words. Apply that to how we use our gift of a home to care for. Apply that to our gift of food that we need to eat to have our hearts strengthened so that we can do good work. Let us rejoice that God provides and avoid misusing his good gifts. And God is so kind. He has made food not only necessary, but unifying and celebratory. So many of our holidays are punctuated by that special family dish or dessert. Our daily times of coming together as a family, spending time in fellowship with others, just like we are this morning, usually revolve around eating food together. We get to eat together and rejoice in God's love and provision for us. So here's our second point for the day. Let your joy in the Lord spill out into sacrificial love for your family. It is a privilege to have the responsibility to prepare meals for the busy family. It is a daily reminder to them of your love and care for them. You are being used by God to provide for their needs, even for the picky little ones who are wholly uninterested in the asparagus that lies before them on their plate. But that's a part of what makes a parent, right? You help your kids learn healthy habits even when they buck against those healthy habits. That's a part of the maturing process, recognizing that we have to do things that may not be super fun in the moment, but will help our lives work best in the long run. And as we mature, we actually start to enjoy many of those hard things because we've seen the fruit. It feels good to feel good, right? And I'm happy to say that I now personally love asparagus. But, as a child or teenager, that was not the case. But my parents kept working on me with love. And look at me today, willingly and gratefully eating things like Brussels sprouts. I actually like them. Thanks, Mom and Dad. My parents really did sacrificially love me in many ways and help me be the woman I am today. And we can do that for our children too. I pray that my children will learn from me and my husband so they'll be even better parents than we are today. We can work today to equip the future generation. And meal prep may be mundane in the day-to-day, but it is an act of service that we can do excellently for ourselves, for our children, and for our God. All right, so now let's get down to the nitty-gritty and how-tos of meal prep for the busy family. We've got the right perspective on food now. Food is a necessary and good gift from God. We use it for his glory by an outpouring of his love through us to our family and others. We know we need to use our time wisely, and now we have the right motivation to follow through on all these practical elements. So point 3, keep yourself organized by ... There will be many subpoints. So subpoint A, immediately, having a firm grasp of the family calendar. You need to know what's going on to plan appropriately. For instance, if your son has a 5 p.m. midweek baseball game, which happened to me last night, or if you are attending an evening small group or Bible study, you will probably not have an entire hour to prepare a meal. So I keep myself organized in several different ways. First, I maintain a shared Apple calendar on my iPhone with my husband, so he's aware of the afternoon and evening plans. I usually keep the morning and most of the school plans to myself so I don't overwhelm his work calendar. Of course, he knows the general theme and plans for each day. Another tool I use is a wall calendar. I have 2 kids who can read now, and we are not about to give them smartphones. So this is a way for me to communicate effectively for them. They can look at the calendar and say, oh, that's when that big school project is due. That's when I have soccer practice, and so on. A way that's really easy for them to spot something for themselves is I use color coding. So black would be an all-family event. Red would be for James, green for Caleb, and so down the list. It's a great visual for all of us. Also, as a teacher, I find that writing things down keeps it in my mind better rather than just typing it into a calendar. And so these tools help me stay organized, effectively communicate with my family, and also help me say wisely yes or no to added activities, or figure out where I need to do these other important activities, like taking the time to teach this or write down this teaching, taking my kids to the park, getting the car oil changed, whatever it may be. We have a lot of responsibilities, and having the calendar helps us a lot. And of course, in fitting with this teaching, this kind of organization will help you plan and prepare wisely for feeding your family. All right, point B would be to keep yourself organized by developing a routine and structure for daily life. Several weeks back, Suzanne Johnson shared a really great example of a structure for her day that helps her enjoy her children. Routines are also going to help you prepare meals in the midst of a busy season in life. I shared my general routine in my pretend diary entry, but let me highlight a few things that have really helped me. So, subpoint to my subpoint: get up early, if possible, depending on your season of life. I'll not pretend this is easy, but the fruit is definitely apparent quite quickly. I get time to myself. I've chosen to exercise my body to wake up all the way first, and then I exercise my mind by reading the word and praying. Of course, shout out to my husband, who's helped me a lot with the transition from having a newborn to a toddler to now some elementary age kids, and figuring out how to be flexible with the best possible way for me to get up early. We've got our daily workout date in the garage, which is pretty sweet. Okay, second highlight: when available, which sometimes it's not when we have dentist appointments in the afternoon, I will schedule a quiet time that is pretty regular for everyone. This will generally take place about 2:30 to 3:30 for us. I'll set timers for the kids and separate them throughout the house so they have their own space and some alone time. They can rest, they can play, they can create without destroying things, which sometimes is a problem, read, whatever they want to do alone. And to help my little girls who can't read clocks, we have a clock that will turn green when their time is up, so they know when they're allowed to come out of their room. And of course, all this takes time and training. As for me, I now have a carved out free hour in which I can do whatever I need to do. So I will have a to-do list that helps me have that decision fatigue taken off my plate, so I don't stare at the house and wonder what to do and then just lay down. But sometimes I really do just lay down, and because I am busy, I have a lot going on, I get tired and I need to nap, and that's totally great. On the days where I need to nap, I can then engage with my family in a much better way the rest of the day. And I have like an ongoing medical condition that ebbs and flows. And so I need to make sure I'm taking good care of my body so that I can then take good care of my family. But other times, on the days where I have the energy, I will bake, or I will do another chore that needs doing. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm so behind on emails and text messages. Sometimes I'll turn on music that I enjoy, not Moana 2, or a podcast that I like to listen to. I get to be flexible with that carved out hour for me. Okay, third highlight would be involve your kids in helping around the house. I keep a stick-on whiteboard on my fridge that lists the kids' chores for each day. They know they all have to complete their homework, work on their Bible verse memorization, and do their chores before having any kind of screen time. Of course, again, they have to be trained in a lot of these chores, and I will rotate chores every few weeks so that they can learn new things. Also, real life, my toddler will sometimes swipe her cute little fingers through my dry erase marker, and I'm like, all right, time to switch up the chores for everybody because I don't remember what they are. This has made our home so much more functional. It's given me the help that I very much need so that our home doesn't look like a tornado. A few tips would include turning on fun music, setting a 15-minute timer so they don't feel overwhelmed about tackling a large task like tackling the playroom. So if the toys get downgraded from like a category 5 hurricane to a category 2, I'm pleased. This is much better than it was, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. But I'm also noticing the more and more they clean ahead of time to reduce their workload later, which I'm like, oh, yes, it's working. They are learning to put away their toys after they're done playing with them because then later they think, oh, I have extra time to play outside and do all my wild child things like dig holes in the ground and make roly-poly houses and jump on the trampoline and spin as many circles on the swing as I can fit. Sometimes my little 5-year-old daughter will even use her quiet time, which she can do whatever she wants as long as it's not destructive, like I said. And she'll clean up her room. She'll like organize her puzzles. And I come in, I'm like, girl, all the hearts. Like, great job. You did so awesome. Now you don't have to do chores later. Or that only took you 5 minutes to feed the dog and get the water. Hopefully not 5 minutes. Hopefully that's like a 1-minute task. But now she can go do other things that she enjoys. She's really into riding her bike right now. And so what is one fruit among like so many fruits of having your kids help you around the house? It gives me the time and the energy to effectively feed my family. Okay, subpoint C, which I've hidden at a whole bunch already, is to keep yourself organized by meal planning. Last year in NABMO, I did a whole teaching just on meal planning. So if you're interested in listening to that, head over to our YouTube playlist and you can go back and have a listen. But here's a quick overview, so more subpoints to my subpoint. Over time, 1, develop a hearty list of family favorites for meals. I personally like to handwrite these down in a family cookbook because scrolling through a million ads and keeping the kids away from my smartphone while I'm simultaneously attempting to cook was really stressful for me. So it's much more helpful for me to have it written down in a book that I just pull out. And I'm always adding to my cookbook because I enjoy cooking. I like to experiment with different foods, but I will not add something until it's proven itself, like at least 3 times, and the majority of the family actually enjoys the meal. Of course, we have 6 people in our family, so there's a lot of variety of preferences, and we have to learn how to let some people enjoy their particular meal, knowing that we're going to have our turn later. I've also added tabs to my cookbook that helps me quickly flip to, here's my dinner meals, here's my breakfast recipes, or, oh, that muffin that the kids really like for breakfast. All right, 2, schedule in a weekly time to plan out meals and grocery shop. It really cuts down when you can do this once a week instead of multiple times a week. Typically in this season, I'll plan on Sundays and order my groceries through Walmart delivery to arrive sometime on Monday. I'll usually have to visit Costco in person once or twice a month to build up all those bulk items that I'm running out of. Or for funsies, every month or 2, I'll go to Trader Joe's or Aldi's and get the yummy cheese and the flowers. I have a pretty consistent shopping list these days, so there's a ton of cool tools you can use to copy and paste your previous grocery list, like putting things on subscribe and save, or just figuring out how to copy and paste from previous weeks. I live in a family of fruit bats, so I weekly have to order things like a 5-pound bag of apples, a 5-pound bag of pears, 2 bunches of bananas, a bag of grapes, etc., and etc. And at home, I'll attempt to keep that consistent rule of eating things like fruit, cheese, nuts, or homemade foods for snacks, and then saving the packaged stuff for when we're out of the house. And you know kids and their snacks, so I've got to keep those things updated and available, or else I'll get some hangry kids. I'll always consistently, every week, order a couple of crowns of broccoli. My kids love edamame, so I always have that on hand. There's like 3 gallons of milk every single week. So having those things on repeat is really helpful because I don't even have to think about it. It's just there, copy and paste. I also keep a running grocery list. So up to you how you want to do that. You can have a list on the wall or another stick-on whiteboard. I have like 1 million Alexa Echo Dots spread throughout the house. So if I'm running low on bread flour because I made a loaf of sourdough, I can just say, Alexa, add bread flour to the shopping list, and voila, there it is. The kids have been trained to also do this. So if they run out of Cheerios or whatever it is, they can add it for me. Or if they have specific requests, I say, add it to the list. Maybe I'll buy it for you. So sometimes I'll have sillies who will add things like donuts. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not going to actually buy that. Sometimes I do and surprise them, though, which is also fun. Claire's always adding like different wild fruits to the list. And I'm like, oh, I can't help it. I have to buy it for her. All right, 3 is to buy in bulk and use that freezer. Costco, man, I love that place. There's so much ground beef. Or I'll get a huge thing of pork shoulder. I divide the raw meat up into what I might use in a meal, slap it in a freezer bag, label it, throw it in the freezer, and then I don't have to think about buying that particular thing for a month or more. Or I'll ask my husband to use his smoker, and then I'll divide the cooked meat up into pre-portioned meal sizes, freeze that, and then I know I have that ready to take out of the freezer to use. Or rather than using the freezer, other things I've done is I make a huge portion of meat, and then I use that same meat in like every meal all throughout the week. I used to be able to roast 1 whole chicken. We're now getting to 2 whole chickens for the week as the family is growing and eating a lot more. But that's a great thing, like shredding up that whole chicken, using it in burritos, using it in pad thai, using it in rice bowls, whatever it may be. I also love to use those bones to make a stock later. The more you can prep ahead, the easier dinner time will be. So shred that whole block of cheddar, chop up all the onion ahead of time, or usually it's in the moment of dinner prep for me. I only need half an onion for tonight's meal, so I might as well chop up the entire onion and use the other half for tomorrow night's meal. Okay, subpoint, forward to my subpoint. Develop a plan to teach your kids to enjoy food. We let the kids have pretty easy breakfasts and lunches. So think like oatmeal, bagels, yogurt, cereal, pancakes, eggs, hot dogs, quesadillas, mac and cheese, chicken nuggets, smoothies. I'll throw in fruit and veggies on the side, but the easy ones that I know that they like. I do love to bake, so my kids sometimes are a bit spoiled, and we'll get things like cinnamon rolls in the morning or scones and muffins. That's just my hobby, and they get to reap the benefits. But everything would be really light on prep in the moment of the meal, so I can use that breakfast morning time to help them get ready for school. Or for lunch, it's not going to take me an hour to make. It's something that I just throw on the skillet to make a quick quesadilla. As for dinner, that's where my husband and I have decided to try to expand their palate more and expose them to new things. And in doing so, they've got this wide variety of foods, and they've been much easier to take out to dinner, go over to other people's houses, and so on. We view this as a training time. So we kind of expect ahead of time that there's going to be some heart issues to work through, that there will probably be some whining, probably some delaying to eat. Sometimes a meal is even utterly rejected, and we have to spend a lot of time working through the heart issues. But since we're viewing it as an opportunity for growth, to train our kids to have the right attitudes and reactions, they have the opportunity to experience God's good gift in creativity and food. And over time, as we've been consistent, they're starting to eat more and more and enjoy more and more as time marches on. So things do get easier, especially as you're consistent. Okay, subpoint 5. Be flexible. Things will come up, like illnesses or that last-minute meal needed for a friend, or maybe you need to abandon the plan for whatever fill-in-the-blank reason. It's okay and it's right to change as needed. This is where we trust God to craft our days as He sees fit and use our time as He pleases. There are definitely times I will end up making double of a meal to deliver to a friend. Or other times I call my husband to bring home takeout because it's just been one of those days. Sometimes I will plan to feed my kids through the snack bar at the baseball thing, and actually credit to them, they're adding more and more. There's actual food there, not just Skittles, which is awesome. Sometimes a new meal that I'm trying out is just, it's bad. No one likes it, not even me or my husband. And so we just have to delve into the freezer and pull out those frozen taquitos and throw them in the air fryer. Okay, we should make good plans, but then we hold them loosely for whatever God has for our day. We can see that toddler tantrum or a leaking roof or a car that won't start up or a need that arises. And yes, all of those 4 things happened in the last month for us, as an opportunity to trust the Lord and put our plans in His good hands. There's really no better place to be. So preparing meals for your family is a worthwhile endeavor. It involves sacrificial love. It involves the right mindset and motivation. And when we do this excellently, we show our family, we show the world that God is love. We get to show them His love through the good work He's given to us as wives, moms, friends, daughters, sisters. In John 15, verse 12 through 13, Jesus says, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends." Let's follow His example. Thank you, and have a great discussion.